John, I wanted to ask you about Jake Guentzel. He's now seventh all-time in goals per game in postseason history. Obviously, he's a wonderful player. What do you think he has inside of him, though, that just allows him to elevate his game on this stage?
Elite hockey IQ. And he's proven that not only with us, but Pittsburgh, Carolina, and he finds himself playing with elite players. And it's, I think there's a misconception out there that you say, well, put me with Nikita Kucherov or Braden Point and I'll have success too. That's not the case. That's not how it works. And, Jake's played with, the best players in Carolina, the best players in Pittsburgh, and because he has that ability. And maybe he doesn't have the hardest shot, or maybe he's not the fastest skater on the ice, but he's a complete hockey player. And but he can he thinks it, sees it, and has a skill set that adapts to all that. And it's why I thought at Four Nations, now you're playing with the best of the best, and I thought he was one of, if not, the U.S.'s top forward.
It's now, I think, 6 straight playoff games against the Panthers, whichever team scores first wins. So just curious, you guys have done really well this season when you get on the board early. How important is it, or how much emphasis are you guys focused on that for tomorrow night?
Well, you ask any coach, they'd like to score first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But it doesn't always happen that way. And it's I think the reason the team that scored first has gone on to win. Well, that's not just the Lightning Panthers series. That's hockey in general. Get the lead, and now you're making the other team chase it. So it's unfortunately for us, that lead came early enough in the game. We did tie it, but we couldn't recapture the lead. And it's how it is. You get the lead, you've chopped some of the game out, and the other team now has to keep coming back and get the lead. So it kind of makes sense that the team that scores first might have a better chance to win. But yeah, naturally for us, we'd love to score first, and we'll try.
John, first, any update on Anthony Cirelli and his status for tomorrow? No, I figured that was the answer. Playoff games are always about emotions and how you channel the emotions and what can you do to, use that to your advantage. Did you like emotionally the way your team played last night, or does it need to be at a different level tomorrow?
I think the only part I didn't really like is, I think there was a stretch, basically the game went from, start of the second period, and they went from 2-1 to 4-1 like that. And I think, for us, our response after that was, supposed to be suspected in human nature. It took a little life out of the building, and I thought we didn't really respond again until the third. And, it's hard to say because, Florida had such a lead that they probably played a different style of game anyway to just to get through the game. So but to open the game and the way everything started, and I thought it was two good teams playing a hell of a playoff game, and until it didn't really turn into a playoff game anymore.
What did you see last night? Brandon took some blame for the first goal on himself. What did you see, and what is the confidence level given how good you've been this season on the PK?
Yeah, I mean, for me, hopefully it's an aberration. You go 82 games, and our PK's been exceptional of late. Because we didn't start well, so I think our first 10 or 15 games, we were like a bottom 10 team in the league, and so you really have to play catch up to make yourself get into the top, 6 or 7, and we did that for 60 plus games. It's been great. Is a team going to put some power play goals up against you? They are. Unfortunately, it came in game one of the playoffs. So, there'd be hope that we get back to some of the great things we've done, and give. I always sometimes everybody looks at you and asks questions. They're like, "Well, can you do this better?" And, well, you know what? They're playing too, and they've got some good players, and they're making plays. So, and sometimes you have to tip your cap to the other team and say, "Okay, good job." But do we think we probably made some errors in judgment? There's no question, and so. We have a veteran enough and committed enough team to, fix those mistakes. But, also give Florida credit for making some nice plays.
John, the Zoom days, they used to call me Ed Encina. Yeah.
What would they call you?
Ed Encina. Like I had an extra N before the. Anyway, I'm glad those days are over. So you thought. Right. Going back to those days, you guys in the playoffs have been so good at rebounding. Making sure that one loss didn't lead to two. When on a day like today, the process of, you always talk about turning the page, right? But what is the process that maybe has allowed you guys over the long haul, over those years, to kind of let one loss be one and just kind of rebound so well?
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say that there's a specific formula for that because every year is different. Your teams are different. The one thing you do get to kind of rely on a little bit is history and how our players have dug in, and they're pretty receptive to what has not worked well and mistakes we've made and then correcting them. And I think anytime you have a team that can self-correct immediately is a good sign. So a lot of committed guys in there, and ultimately it was the Panthers made their own breaks and capitalized on them, and I think we probably helped out in some of those situations. But all in all, we lost the game on the score, but it wasn't a situation where I thought we got leaned on. I guess if that's the case, and we clean up some of that stuff, which we've been good in the past. Hopefully we can turn the table here. We'll give one from the cheap seats.
Kind of building off of that, what was the reasoning behind maybe today not going with the full practice and allowing an optional skate? Was there any sort of mentality to that decision of just kind of turning the page?
Well, when the game starts at 8:48 and finishes at 11:40 or whatever, it doesn't make for much of a productive day as in that regard. So it's one of the things about what teams have to deal with in playoff hockey. You don't know if you're playing at 9. I think I don't know. Is there a team starting at 9:30 local time? I can't remember if I saw that. Maybe out west or something. Maybe it wasn't. But it's different. Like you may have a 3:00 game, a 6:00 game, and so at times that's where you have to kind of get a feel for energy level and how that's going to work moving forward in games. So, but it's tough when you have those late starts to, especially when you have ice time blocks that are specifically set aside. So that's why.